everyone, and welcome back to my channel. We have been talking about a lot of positive psychology concepts since a few videos. And today the topic that I have taken for the discussion is leadership. We see a lot of people talking about be a good leader, you should have leadership qualities, but nobody talks about how do we obtain that or how to maintain that leadership qualities in you. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the different leadership styles that you can adopt depending upon the kind of personality you have, depending upon the situation you are into, and the kind of person that you like to be. Also, we are also going to answer the questions of whether a leader is born or whether a leader is made, because we'll be discussing about a lot of theories of leadership, how it emerged and how different people have viewed different leadership styles. And also, not to forget, we are also going to discuss some of the leadership traits that we can analyze through a person's handwriting. So before I begin, I would just like to give a brief introduction of myself. My name is Amya Madan and I am a certified handwriting and signature analyst, the founder of Écrivons-You Write, We Discover. And I've analyzed 4,000 plus people's handwriting over the span of 2 years, and I've found that there are certain qualities which the handwriting of an individual showcases about their entrepreneurial traits, about their leadership traits, and in overall sense their strengths and weaknesses, which helps them a lot in their personality development. So let's move with today's topic, that is leadership. So first of all, talking about the definition of leadership, leadership is actually a process whereby an individual is trying to influence others to internalize a collective goal, a vision, and to mobilize them towards attaining that vision. So the job of a leader in an organization or in a community is to mobilize the entire crowd of people with him so that they achieve a particular vision together. Also, effective leadership transforms people's goals and ambitions. So, for example, there's a very effective leader who can influence everyone in the community. Then a time comes when everyone in that community starts following the goals and missions of that particular leader, and they have a collective goal in mind that they all have to achieve it together. The exercise of power over people is not the kind of leadership style. For example, if you are forcing somebody to follow you, if you are forcing somebody to, attain the same goal and vision that you have, it's not the kind of leadership. It's forcefully acting upon something, and that does not count under a good leader. So today we are going to talk about as to what is it that make an individual or people excel in their leadership roles. We have seen a lot of times people talking about how is that person able to maintain their team so effectively. So a lot of leadership theorists have actually tried to explain how and why certain people become leaders. And these are the different theories that we'll be talking about today as to how and what characteristics an individual has that helps them to excel as a leader. Also, we also try to attempt and modify changing certain kinds of behavior which synchronizes with becoming a leader in the future. So these are the different aspects that a leadership theorists have talked about, and here we are going to look at those theories. So these theories actually proposes that certain people are simply born leaders. However, later a lot of different theories came in which said no, that there are different ways in which people behave. There are ways in which the skills can be taught to an individual to make them a good leader. So the theories of leadership that we'll be talking about today are the great man theory, the trait theories, the contingency theories, the situational, the behavioral, the management, and the transformational theories that we are going to talk about. Starting with the great man theory. The great man theory was the first and initial theory that was given, which says that we have seen a lot of people saying that he or she is born to lead. And this theory is based on the same fact. So according to this theory, Great leaders are simply born with the necessary traits that they have. They have internal traits of charisma, confidence, intelligence, and social skills that actually make them born leaders. And great man theories also assume that the capacity of a leader is inherent. They have it in them since the day they are born. And not just that, it's called the great man theory because in the earlier times, the males were considered to lead a community, to lead an organization, and especially to lead the military. And that's why this word great man theories have been given to those theories which say that leaders are born. They have those traits in them. However, then came the trait theory. The trait theory said that it was a little bit similar to the great man theory. However, it assumes that people inherit certain traits and qualities that make them better suited to leadership positions or becoming a leader. So, trait theories often give importance to the personality traits of an individual. For example, if a person has the traits of extroversion, they have high self-esteem, confidence, and courage. So, all these traits in an individual are important that can make them a leader. However, why this trait theory was not much accepted was the reason that there are a lot of people who have such combination of traits in their personality. They have extroversion, they are courageous, they have high self-confidence, but not all of them become good leaders. And that's why another theory that came up was the contingency theory. The contingency theory focuses on the variables related to the environment that can determine which particular style of leadership a person will take up. So according to this theory, no single leadership style is best in all the situations. What is best is that effective true leadership comes in when a person or a leader knows which kind of leadership style to adopt in which kind of situation so that they can strike a balance between the behaviors, the needs, and the context. So good leaders are able to assess the needs of their followers and at the same time they can, take a stock of the situation, how the situation is, what are the demands of the situation, and then they adjust the kind of behaviors accordingly. The next theory that came up, which was similar to the contingency, was the situational theory, which says that the leaders choose the best course of action based upon the situational variables. For example, if there's an organization or there's a situation where the most knowledgeable as well as the experienced member has to take the decision, then probably they'll take up the authoritarian style of leadership. However, when a person in a team knows that all the group members are equally skilled and trained, then they will take up the democratic style of leadership. These two styles of leadership we'll be discussing in detail further. However, the situational theory assumes and says that a person will choose which kind of leadership style they have to take up depending upon the kind of situation that they are put into. The next is the behavioral theories. The behavioral theories of leadership are based on the belief that great leaders are made, not born. So earlier all the theories said that they have innate personality traits, they are born, they are not made, but now the behavioral theory came up and said that no, leaders can be made and they need not necessarily be born. So it has roots in its behavioral theory as well, which says that when we are focusing, observing, and imitating somebody who is a leader, we try to adapt and imitate those leadership traits in ourselves as well. And when people are taught certain traits, they observe it, they learn it, imitate it, and therefore they can be made good leaders as well by teaching them those particular skills which are required to become a good leader. The next theory that came up was the transactional theory. So this is the transactional theory as well as called the management theory, which focuses on the role of supervision in an organization and for the group performance. So these theories base the leadership on a system of rewards and punishment. So for example, if I'm doing a good job, my leader is going to reward me with bonuses, with incentives. However, If I'm not doing something good for the organization, they're definitely going to punish me. So this kind of leadership is often seen to be beneficial in the kind of managerial roles or organizations where the employee is rewarded for the good that they do and reprimanded for the wrong that they do. Okay. The next is the transformational theory. It is the latest one, the more recent one, as well as the most accepted and effective as well, which is also called the relationship theory. So the transformational theory or the relationship theory says that it focuses on the connections which are formed between the leaders and the followers. And as the word suggests, it is based upon motivating and inspiring the followers, the people, by helping the group members to see the importance of the higher goal. At the same time, the leaders are focused on the performance of the group members. They are not just focused on, telling them what has to be done, how has to be done. They also listen to their members and they align them in such a manner that they together come and achieve the set goals. So now we'll be moving on to the different kinds of leadership styles. We have talked about the theories which said that a person has innate traits in them, that they have born leaders, they could be made. But now what are the different kinds of leadership styles that a person could adopt? Because as we saw that the situational theories say that depending upon the kind of situation, a leader can swap between different kinds of leadership styles. So what are those styles? A leadership style basically refers to a leader's characteristic behavior when they are directing, when they are guiding, when they are motivating or managing a group of people. What is the kind of characteristic behavior that they are going to show? So the first kind is the authoritarian or autocratic leadership. That is the authoritarian leadership or the autocratic leadership, which provides clear expectations to the followers as to what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, and when it should be done. This kind of a leadership style actually imposes onto the followers by the leaders as to how the things have to go about. And it is strongly focused on the command of the leader. So once the leader has commanded things, they are ought to follow those things. So they have a clear division between the leader and the members. And in this, they cannot make decisions independently. They have to follow what the leader is saying. However, there have been researches which say that this is not much a good style until and unless you want to provoke creativity in an individual. Because in the authoritarian style, a person's decision-making creativity becomes less because they are constantly under the commands of their leader and they have to perform the task the way they have been commanded to do so. So it can be applied best in the situations where there is less time for the group members to take on the decisions and there is less time and flexibility in the organization for the members to put in their opinions. The next kind of the leadership style is the democratic style. So as the word suggests, democratic, in this a person guides the group members. So there's a leader who guides the group members, but the group members can also participate in the group decision making process. The leader takes an inputs from the group members and it has been seen that the people are less productive in the democratic leadership style as compared to the authoritarian leadership style. The reason being that when there's a lot of inputs coming up from the group, it sometimes becomes difficult for the leader to manage the group, and that's why the productivity can also decrease at times. The other one is the laissez-faire leadership. It's a French word which says that the whole team is letting to do whatever they want to do. So it's a kind of leadership style in which the leader lets the group members do whatever they want to do in however they manner they want to do it. So it offers little or no guidance from the leader. The leader is more or less of a passive entity in this kind of a leadership style, and the group members are allowed to do anything that they want to do. And it generally happens in those scenarios in which the entire group members are highly skilled and qualified because they can take their decisions on their own. The next is a transformational leadership style, which is often identified as the most effective style. The reason being that transformational leaders are able to motivate and inspire their followers and to direct them in the positive manner. So it's like you are leading a group of members and you have motivated them well enough to, give all of their mental energy to achieve a particular target that has been set to be achieved. So here, the leaders who follow the transformational style are considered to have more of emotional intelligence, they are more energetic, and they are passionate as well. They are not only designated to achieve the goal of that organization or to achieve the particular goal, but they also help the group members to fulfill their own self potentials. So this kind of leadership leads to higher performance and more improved group satisfaction as well. Because the people are motivated, they are given that sense of motivation to work, the sense of need to achieve the goals, and that's how their self-potential also increases. The next one is the transactional leadership, which is viewed as a leader-follower relationship as a transaction. So, by accepting a position as a member of the group, the individual has agreed to obey the leader. It's a transaction that's happening between two entities, and in most situations, it involves the employer and the employee relationship because the whole transaction that is there, it focuses on the follower completing the required task that have been given to them by the leader in exchange to monetary compensation. And that's what happens in this kind of a leadership style. One of the most important advantages that happen in this leadership style is that it creates clearly defined roles. So just like in any organization, all the employees have a set of job roles. It is the kind of transactional leadership style that is followed in most of the organizations because the people know that what kind of job they have to do, when they have to complete it, and what they are going to receive in return to following that particular set of rules and following their job accomplishments and targets. The group members may also be motivated in this kind of a style because we know that they'll receive bonuses, they'll receive rewards. However, that one of the downsides of this kind of leadership style is that the out-of-the-box thinking and creativity lowers down because, again, their job roles are well defined in this sense. So these were the different kinds of leadership styles, and you can choose which leadership style do you want to adopt for your organization and for your own self. Next, we move on to the traits that a leader must have, or the traits which can be identified through their handwriting. So, before confidence, a trait which is very significant in a leader is that they should have warmth, they should have generosity, and they should have goodwill and benevolence. This will help them to maintain good relations with their employers. For example, you are following the transformational leadership style. For that, you need to maintain that kind of bond with your followers. Otherwise, how are you going to motivate or inspire them? And that's why the first and the foremost trait in a leader should be that of warmth, benevolence, generosity, and goodwill. The second one is the confidence, courage, and clarity. A leader should be confident in his or her own abilities as well as in the abilities of their entire group and community. They should have clear set goals in their mind, as well as they should have so much of clarity that they're also able to explain the entire scene, the entire set of goals to their followers as well. And they should be courageous enough to take the risks. And finally, honesty. One thing that all the followers expect from their leader is that they should be honest. They should be clear-cut in what they want and what they want to achieve, how they want to achieve, and by when they want to achieve. And at the same time, what they are doing to achieve those goals and targets. And that's how clear and honest they should be. So let's have a look at analyzing one of the very important traits that we talked about in a leader, and that is of the warmth and generosity. So for this, write any word which ends with the letter M. For example, I am writing a word, okay, it could be fan as well. It could end with N, like this, okay? And then another word could be tend, okay? Another word could be long, okay? Another word could be end. All right, I'll just take up an example of all these words. And one thing, if you observe in all these words, I can also take a word perform, okay? One thing that you can easily observe in all these different words in the way that I have written them is that they have an extended loop going after the word has been completed. You see? There is an extended loop that is going. So this kind of extended loop that is formed in a person's handwriting when they are writing these different words shows that these people have a lot of warmth, they have a lot of goodwill as well as generosity. So this is one trait that every leader should have in his or her own handwriting. And if you want to identify the leader in your organization who has warmth and who has generosity, then look for these simple traits and simple formations in their handwriting. Apart from that, we'll be also talking about the different leadership traits that an individual should have. For example, honesty, clarity, confidence in the signature session that we'll be having. Because the signature also says a lot about your leadership. So stay tuned for the next video. Until then, don't forget to share, subscribe, and comment below. Also, choose your leadership style, what you want to follow. Till then, take care. Bye bye.